Hi guys, this is just kind of a impromptu off the cuff video to fill you guys in on what's been going on. I don't want to do any editing. I think I just kind of want to upload it to the channel and just have it go live like after I finish this. I did have two other videos that I wanted to upload since last year. One of them I think was a review of the clinic that I went to over the summer in Mexico, and the other one I think was a life update, which a lot of things have changed since then, so I mean there's no point in uploading that one. So I just figured I'd do this quick off the cuff video to just let you guys know what's been going on. I mean, I don't have a lot of followers on this channel. I don't really know how many of you are really interested. And I think that kind of is also, it makes me kind of lack motivation because I don't know how many people are actually watching or whether people are actually interested in my content. And so, that plus everything else that's been going on has sort of made me kind of lazy with making content. But I did tell you guys that I was moving out, that I did get an apartment. So I've been living alone. So that in and of itself has been a bit stressful because, now I have to take care of everything on my own while having a chronic illness and dealing with, all the chronic illness stuff. And, it's kind of a challenge. I mean, I am, still mobile, and, can do things for myself. But now I have to do everything for myself. I have to do my grocery shopping on my own. I have to, sweep, mop, clean up everything on my own. And I do realize, where I was living before with my family that I had, I guess I did have a substantial amount of help in a way. But at the same time, there were, other people living there. Right now, there were a lot of people living there by the time I left. And, the duties of the house were taken care of by other people. Most of the duties of the house, with the exception of anything that I had to do in my own bedroom. So that's part of the issue, is that I think too, another thing that I've noticed being on my own, I did have other hobbies. I don't know if I told you guys, I think I mentioned this in some of my other videos of, finding things to do that you can do while you're disabled. I did a lot of thrifting. I was doing thrifting and reselling and that kind of thing. And that also has stopped. Because I moved somewhere, it's not as easy to thrift out here, at least the way that I was thrifting. But also too, again, having all these other responsibilities. I feel like a lot of the reason I did a lot of those activities was to get out of the house, to force myself out of the house, because I was not in the best living situation. When you're living on your own, you kind of enjoy being at home more, and you're not really making excuses to get out because, you're not trying to escape anything. And so I've noticed that, my hobbies have taken a backseat. I used to go for a 40-minute walk every day. That has also taken a backseat. I don't go to the swap meet every weekend, and it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because I become even more isolated than I was before. I'm literally becoming, a hermit. And then things kind of imploded. So this is kind of the reason why I wanted to make this video, because I don't know how consistent I'm going to be with these videos anymore. I don't know if you guys are interested in, hearing about my life, or if you just want content that is, medical related. Because I mean, that's what this channel is. It's about chronic illness. But, things were kind of, I felt better when I came back from Mexico. After about a month, things settled down. I actually felt better than I had felt, a lot better than how I had been feeling when I left, because I was really sick when I left. And then I ended up getting another sinus infection, so then, I started to sort of regress a little bit. Then I had to get a colonoscopy, and all of that made me regress, and a lot of my GI issues started acting up. I had started losing my hair in Mexico again after getting some colonics, and then after the colonoscopy prep, started losing my hair very, very badly. I've lost up to 80%, I would say around 80% of my hair, and I mean, you can really tell. Um, and I also started losing weight. So I went down to from like 96 to 94, and now I'm, I think, close to 90 pounds, 91 pounds. It's really scary. And then things continued to get worse. So I started getting the sinus infection situation under control. Last year, for whatever reason, I started getting recurrent sinus infections, and that made me really sick. And then, I moved out here, and again got hit with another one. And I thought to myself, okay, why is this happening? So I started taking care of my sinuses, doing the rinses. I think the neti pot is somewhere around here. But started taking care of myself, and I started seeing, that I wasn't getting sinus infections anymore. So I thought that situation, I was like, we resolved that situation. We've got it under control. We're good. And then I ended up getting a vaginal infection. I may do a separate video about this because it was something that I didn't know existed. It wasn't an STD or anything like that. I guess it depends who you ask. There's some people that classify it as an STD. I had never heard of it. The doctor that diagnosed me, actually it was a PA, he said this is a commensal bacteria. It's bacteria that normally exists in your body. But it is connected to recurrent infections, which I've been dealing with for the last several years. And I didn't know that there could have been another underlying bacteria that could have been causing other bacteria to overgrow and cause recurrent infections. So what happened with this situation was that they did an antibiogram, which is basically a test to show which antibiotics would work best for the bacteria and which antibiotics it may be resistant to. And it was showing potential resistance to most of the antibiotics that can treat it, with the exception of fluoroquinolone classes of antibiotics, which, if you're chronically ill, you probably know fluoroquinolone antibiotics are incredibly dangerous and can have some very, very serious, consequences for the people that take them. Given that I am already sick and that I already have a lot of medical issues, neuromuscular issues, and that kind of thing, I basically knew that I was at a really high risk of having complications from that class of antibiotics. So I opted to do doxycycline first, which was a safer option, and it's basically the first line of treatment. But after consulting with a gynecologist, I had to pay out of pocket to see this gynecologist because, for whatever reason, most regular doctors just don't know about this type of infection. And she told me, she said it usually needs to be treated with dual antibiotic therapy. And she recommended that I continue after the doxycycline with the fluoroquinolone antibiotic. So not only was that, dangerous, that's even twice as dangerous because you're following, 10 days of one with like another 5 to 7 days of this more dangerous antibiotic. And so that kind of compounds on the issue. So I fully prepared myself for what could potentially be, something that could disable me, something that could land me in a wheelchair. The infection was driving me crazy. I was starting to develop sort of like almost like a PTSD. It made me very, very anxious. And I have a feeling that was due to like a histamine issue, because I was very jittery and it was very, very strange because it's not like an internal infection that's like inside my body. It's technically, in an area, but not internal. So I thought it was very strange that I was developing this weird jitteriness and nervousness and almost like a PTSD. I was crying. I was really scared because I couldn't get rid of this thing. And so I was desperate to get rid of this infection, apart from the fact that it was causing a lot of discomfort and, there's potential for it to cause other issues and all of that. And I already have so many issues that it's like I need to eliminate at least one thing off of this pile of different problems. So I did. I ended up going through with both treatments. I did the 10 days of the doxycycline plus, I think it was close to 7 days, because I was so scared of taking this antibiotic that I would kind of stop and then continue and then stop and then continue. I do feel better from that infection, not 100%. It's already been close to a month that I finished the medication. I still have to get retested, so I still don't know whether I've cleared the infection or not. I do not feel the same as I did before. And of course, after 2 courses, almost 20 days of antibiotics, my GI symptoms have obviously gotten worse. The other reason that I opted to do doxycycline first was also because I was told that I had SIBO. I've been told by a couple of different doctors that I have SIBO, and doxycycline is an alternative treatment to SIBO. Might do a video on that as well. So I opted to do the doxycycline. I'm not sure how much of a dent that made in the SIBO, but I definitely think that I'm having an increase in histamine problems now that everything is said and done. I'm still sort of trying to nurse myself back to health, but obviously with the weight loss, hair loss, and everything, it's not really, it's not really, I don't know how well I'm doing at this point. Like I said, I still need to get retested and see if I'm testing negative for this infection. And then I do have follow-ups with a couple of GI doctors, one at a university, and then my regular GI doctor, I guess, to just let them know what's been going on. Because all of this stuff happened between my last GI appointment and the next one. Like literally, it seemed like my life was turned upside down almost overnight. It's been really, I don't know how to explain it. It's been almost traumatic because I didn't even want to talk about this situation. I was on the internet looking for help, looking for advice, and just running into all these horror stories about this infection, then horror stories about the medication, all of these horrible things. And I thought to myself, I don't have a choice. I have to do something about this. I can't just live with this discomfort and this weird reaction that I was having, this weird jittery, nervous, like I could not sit down and focus on anything for 5 seconds because I was just almost shaking for whatever reason. It was very, very strange. And I started having these weird, bizarre, it's something that my therapist has described as like trauma, where you start associating different things with this event and you want to get away from those things. So for example, I did not want to be in my apartment anymore. This thing that had happened, this thing that I got that was one of the biggest, blessings that I've gotten, in recent memory, being able to move out on my own and to have my own space and to have my own peace. I suddenly just did not want to be here. I almost felt like I wanted to go back home. And I was becoming like traumatized that I did not want to be here. And I know that I've talked to my therapist about that before because it's happened to me with other places, places that I was working at when my symptoms, my neurological symptoms started getting really bad. I don't want to return to those places because they're associated with that situation. And she told me that that's trauma. That's when you're traumatized by something, you don't want to go back to the place where it occurred. And I thought to myself, how am I gonna live here now? I'm going to want to get out of here. I still have the rest of my lease to get through, and I'm gonna want to get out of here so badly. And I thought to myself, I have to do something. I can't just continue to let this infection get worse. And I thought, well, whatever happens. It's out of my control. So after completing the 2 rounds of antibiotics, I do have some increased symptoms. Like I said, the GI symptoms, they're just there. They're kind of, they're there. And I mean, it's nothing unusual because I had bad experiences with antibiotics last year. I told you guys about those situations. So it's kind of like, well, this isn't really anything new. But at the same time, I have had an increase in knee pain, leg pain, and I'm trying to manage that with supplements that are recommended for fluoroquinolone toxicity. I may talk about that in another video. If you guys want to hear about all these things, please let me know in the comments because I really don't know what you guys want to hear, what you guys want to know. But these are all interesting video topics that some people might want to hear about. and I've just been getting advice. I've actually been on Reddit a lot, and that's where I've been getting a lot of advice on how to manage the side effects of this medication and the symptoms of the infection and all these other issues. So it's been a big help for me, but it's also just me constantly managing everything. So things have gotten very, very overwhelming. Sorry about the alarm in the background. Things have just gotten very overwhelming, and I just wanted to come on here and just let you guys know what's going on. Obviously, because of the weight loss is the most concerning thing, and the thing that is obviously the most dangerous. Obviously, my hair is terrible. It's a horrible thing that I've lost, the majority of my hair, but in the end, the weight loss is the most dangerous thing. And I'm kind of hoping that at some point, a doctor, hopefully a doctor at this university will say, we need to do something about this. Like, we need to figure this one out. Because I had a colonoscopy. The colonoscopy didn't show really much. And the doctor just kept saying, I want to treat you for SIBO. I want to treat you for SIBO. And I was afraid of taking more antibiotics because of the GI issues. And I still ended up having to do it anyways. Excuse me, sorry. I've been having a lot of bloating and a lot of issues like that. So it's just been constant burping, belching, being bloated, being distended. And so a lot of that is also uncomfortable. And when you're uncomfortable, you just can't focus on anything. You just can't focus on what's important. I can't focus enough to sit down and make a video or to organize notes. My brain has just been basically fried. And then, of course, the knee pain and leg pain, it's almost like it's a full-time job just trying to manage these things. And how can I sit down and make a video when I'm out here trying to manage and trying to function? And of course, just dealing with depression, dealing with the anxiety, the depression, feeling isolated, but then also not having really anybody to talk to, because my family they're not really the best people to speak to. They don't want to hear about any of this. So, I do, and also I don't want to be, negative influence for you guys either, because I do know that some of you are chronically ill or have health issues, and I don't want to bring you guys down in any way. But I did want to just post this update and let you guys know where I'm at. I don't know if I'll be consistently posting videos. I don't have the motivation. I don't have the spirit to do it, I guess. I think that's kind of what it feels like more. Like, I just don't feel like, it's almost like all I can do is just lay on the couch and watch YouTube videos, which is, and I'm still mobile. I will say I am still mobile. I am still able to walk. I have not, as of the filming of this video, knock on wood, I have not ended up in a wheelchair. Has it been a little bit more painful to be on my feet? Yes. But I am managing with supplements and doing all of that. So, I'm doing my best to I'm finding some motivation actually to move around. That's what, all of this stuff has actually been pushing me, even though I'm supposed to be taking it easy. Now I'm like, okay, you need to start moving. So I had completely stopped doing my walking and everything when I moved out here. And now it's like, you need to move a little bit, because I do notice that sometimes moving actually makes me feel a little bit better, even from some of the pain. So I'm trying to prioritize those things, get up and move, go for a walk, even if it's just 15 minutes or 20 minutes and not my usual 40-minute walk. Because I feel like, okay, if I do end up, in a wheelchair at some point, or having, more of a serious issue, at least I got to walk when I was still able to. And a lot of times I do think in those terms, like, what if you're not able to walk anymore? Like, what if you're not able to do the things that you used to do, and you can still do them now? So why don't you do them now? So yeah, I just kind of wanted to fill you guys in on that. If you want to hear about these other video ideas, I can do those. Maybe I'll just do 2 videos a month or once a month. Because it's just hard. It's hard to find the motivation when you see that your hair's falling out, you're losing weight. Again, I don't know if I've cleared this infection completely. I may be now having other issues, because sometimes these infections come in groups. There may be some inflammation in there. There may be histamine issues as well involved in, with that infection. So right now it's almost like I'm just doing research and thinking, okay, this is my plan of action so that we can come back down to my baseline. I know I'm never going to be, back to normal, but at least try to come back down to my baseline so that I can, feel a little bit better, and then start focusing on other things. But I just wanted to make this video. I'm just going to upload it without editing. That way there's something up, because I don't know if you guys have been wondering where I'm at. I mean, everybody has their own life, but yeah, I just needed to put something up, and I need to upload that review of the clinic as well, because I think that's important for any of you that want to travel outside of the United States for medical care, because I think there was a lot of important information in that review if I haven't uploaded it yet. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see if I can post another video soon. Take care.